You alluded to Charles Barkley the last podcast and how he says there's no chance at one. Do you guys kind of still feel that way, Bryce?
I mean, as crazy as Charles is, and some of the funny things he says, a lot of times he's right.
That's true.
He's a truth teller. He says a lot of things. You're like, wow, this guy's crazy, but he seems to know. He probably knows some things. So I hope there's a season, but I guess we'll see.
Well, if there's not, you Kentucky and UNC fans will have a lot to cheer for in the collegiate basketball, huh?
Yeah,
I'll be raking the money in.
Yeah.
At the Rec Specs, our Twitter account, please get on there. Send us any information or any noble tweets that you deem fit in our show, whether it be questions, comments, or whether it just be Dr. Vol heckling Bryce. We always like to see that too. In the women's soccer team, got to get a little bit of international and World Cup action in here. They're one win away from doing it again.
Yeah, and if you watched the Brazil game, you didn't think they would even be in the semis. And that was just a hard-fought game, and it just seemed like the officials were doing anything in their power to give it to Brazil, if you watched that.
Yeah.
And proud of them to get that W, even though everything was against them. And I liked how one of their players said, this is the American spirit. We don't give up, we don't give in, and we'll fight to the bitter end. And that makes you proud to be an American, to see that kind of fight and resiliency on the field, even though, it's just a sport, but it's just so much more.
And it was kind of clouds looming over everything after the loss to Sweden. That's when the U.S. realized that they were going to have to go against Brazil in order to make it this far into the semifinals and then ultimately in the finals. Probably a lot of U.S. soccer fans didn't think that that's something that was a doable goal.
Yeah, and thing about it is they just really thought Brazil would take that, especially when they got that 2-1 lead. They thought it was going to be over, but they just fought back. And really, the surprise of this tournament is Japan, because that's who they're going to be facing. Japan beats Germany, the host nation, and then today they thought, well, Japan will lose to Sweden. No, they beat Sweden by 3-1. So Japan, they have nothing to lose. So U.S. has got to bring their A game.
Going back on the game against Brazil, obviously Hope Solo, another girl who is always in the news, kind of controversial. She was controversial in the last World Cup whenever Brianna Scurry got the nod and they ended up losing that game. But, she makes a huge save in that shootout to ultimately give the U.S. the go-ahead goal to win that match against Brazil. What's one of your favorite moments so far, if you've been keeping up with this, Bryce?
Actually, Sunday afternoon, I was driving home from Tennessee, and I was trying to keep up with the game on Twitter. And for a while, it was like everybody was tweeting about how the refs had screwed us and America had no chance. And then I think it was 20, 30 minutes later, I got back on there, and then you just kept seeing the Hope Solo hashtag, and then it was talking about how she made all these world class saves. So I didn't see it live, but I definitely knew what was going on. And after United States got the big win.
Your boy Kevin Durant, Jared, he's already said that he's going to name his baby girl Hope Solo. You think that's a classy move?
That's pretty sweet. That's got a good ring to it.
Yeah, Hope Solo Durant.
Durant, yeah.
Obviously, another huge factor in the USA's run at this World Cup, Abby Wambach, the former Gator. She gets her 12th goal in World Cup play today, and she's playing at a high level. So do you think that the U.S. women are going to be able to take this momentum into the game against Japan and bring home another World Cup?
Oh, yeah, I think so. And if for some reason Japan plays the game of their life, the U.S. will not go without a fight. They'll take it right to them. And Japan, I think for them to win this, it's going to have to be like a 1-0 game. I don't think they can get into like a running match with U.S. because we just got more athletes than they do. They'll have to play more of a possession-style game. But I think the U.S. takes this home. After they won that Brazil game, I was like, okay, they're going to win it all.
And it's good to see a U.S. soccer team that doesn't disappoint too, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if you watch the men's World Cup, how many times was there so many controversies there? It's almost like those officials just hate the Americans, But, I mean, you can't always blame it on the officials. You still got to play through it, and they showed it.
Obviously, we're hoping that the U.S. women can bring back the gold. Somebody who's turned in the gold, well, not necessarily. A lot of the folks think that Ohio State should turn back the gold. $13.1 million for the All-State Sugar Bowl victory over Arkansas. Doesn't look like that's going to happen, does it, Bryce?
No, I don't. I think they're going to be holding on to the money a little bit. I think that means a little more to them than those victories.
Maybe they're like our government and they've already spent it.
Yeah, it's gone.
So there's no more. Yeah. They can't really give it back.
It's spending on cars.
We bring this up because Ohio State self-imposes a vacation of all their wins from the 2010 season, including their win over Arkansas in the All-State Sugar Bowl. A lot of folks think that if Ohio State really wants to get the NCAA's attention, they return some of that money. Seems fair, doesn't it, Jared?
Seems fair to me. I mean, Ohio State putting out their self-imposed sanctions is just ludicrous. I read an article by Mandel. I think he writes for Sports Illustrated, and he actually agrees. He thinks that the punishment fits the crime, and I'm just like, really, man? Just giving up one season, you don't give up any scholarships, you don't, ban yourself from postseason play, which is where the money is made. It's just ridiculous to me. If they want any justice, they're gonna have to look at what the NCAA did to USC, because it ranks up there about the same,
And, it's just the NCAA is going to come down hard on them. We're all ready for that. They're probably at home. Some of these NCAA officials are at home laughing at the self-imposed sanctions that Ohio State took upon themselves. What do you think might end up being the ultimate penalty, Bryce?
I mean, they're going to be down for a few years. Definitely going to lose some bowls and scholarships. They're going to be hurting for a while, and that's going to really hurt their recruiting. Earlier this week, there was a kid who was signed for Ohio State, and now he switched over to Michigan. Because he said, I don't want to be penalized for this stuff that I didn't do. And I think that's going to be happening a lot. They'll be going from getting 5-star guys to 2- and 3-star guys, and that's going to hurt them for a while. But that's what happens. And it's going to be pretty. They're going to be pretty tough on them, I think.
And thankfully, as we move through the summer months and the dog days of summer, as a lot of people say, we're only about 55, 56 days out from some actual NCAA football. And over the next couple of weeks, through the Rec Specs is going to be counting down from bottom to top our picks in the SEC East, the SEC West, let you know who we think is going to be the legitimate contenders in each division in the SEC, and we're totally excited about that, are we not?
I'm super pumped, and all you listeners there, if you got your favorite team, I know we have a lot of UT listeners. We want to hear your input as well, but give us some inside information, give us some down low, if you got some JUCO transfers coming in we don't know about, people to watch. Holler at us, email, Twitter, you know what to do. So, we're going to be bottom to the top. So each week, 2 teams, and hopefully it'll be good listening for you guys.
Bryce, you can't get us a little bit of a foreshadowing of who you really like in the SEC, can you?
Well, might go with a little purple and gold, a little bit of a grass eater. I'll give a little bit of a little prediction there. Just a little bit.
As you say that, we're watching a commercial with a guy painting his chest with a big, huge gold L, and we'll just let the listeners check out that commercial. It's pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
Like Jared said, please get on Twitter. Let us know who you think is going to be the dominant team in the SEC this year at the Rec Specs, or send us an email, therecspecs@gmail.com. It's shout-out time. Jared, I know you're ready to shout it out.
Yeah, I'm going to holler at my U.S. women's soccer team. Congratulations, guys, making it to the final. I know your journey's not over yet, and you got one more game to go, but we'll be backing you, win or lose. So thanks for giving us a great tourney so far.
No matter who we shout out to, whether it be Mike Miller, whether it be Dr. Ball.
They always respond.
Yeah.
So I'm eager to see. Who do you have, Bryce? Who's going to respond to you?
How about I'm going to go with the fictional character of Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights. This Friday night is the series finale of the heralded TV show Friday Night Lights. So, Coach Taylor, good luck finding your next job, sir.
And Friday Night Lights will be shown in syndication on ESPN and ESPN Classic, so that'll be good to see. Obviously, for somebody like me who's not been able to catch that show, I'm eager to watch some of those reruns and find out what I've been missing over the past couple of years. Last but not least, I want to give my shout out to my father-in-law, Tim. Actually scored a hole-in-one on the golf course just a couple of weeks ago at Crockett's Ridge in beautiful Kingsport, Tennessee. So shout out to my father-in-law for getting the work done on the greens.
Did he do that on a par 5?
I doubt it.
That'd be most impressive, Mr. Dick.
As always, thank you for tuning in, putting the Rec Specs on, and seeing things how we see it. Continue to download our podcast from the Google Listen app, from the BlackBerry Podcast app, or on iTunes. As always, I'm your host, Adam Hall, joined alongside Jared Smith and Bryce Seymour. Have a great week in sports, folks.